What channel are you with?
I'm from Fox 5.
Okay.
The run of disease.
All right, so Kelly's getting ready to do an interview here with Fox 5, so we're just going to listen along and make sure that nothing's taken out of context. I'm going to see if I can get away from the sun there. It may be a minute or two before she gets started.
Sydney's off.
Okay. Yeah, that looks better because it hits all the tree was kind of blocking the part. Okay. So this will be pretty easy.
Hey, you guys, go. Go over here.
No? Okay.
Come on. Go over there. Go sit down.
Maybe just, not right here. Okay. All right, so you're going to look
Hey,
at
Eric.
what you say and spell.
Glad you're home free watching.
Okay, Kelly, how are you involved here with the Bundy family?
I started supporting down in Portland.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Before the acquittal that came down there for Alan Bundy, Bryan Bundy, and the other 5. And I just became, a supporter and, believed in their cause and started helping down there.
So you came down from Oregon for this trial?
Correct.
Wow. Okay, where are you staying?
There's lots of places to stay.
Yeah, lots of supporters. Okay.
Lots of supporters.
So basically, we are here today because, can you explain why we're here today?
Well, a mistrial was declared today because of all the prosecutorial misconduct focused around the Brady violations and all of the information that they've been withholding, the exculpatory evidence that it was proven in court today, multiple, I mean at least 10 violations, and the judge really gave it to the prosecution and told them they intentionally not only withheld evidence from the defense that could have exonerated them or given them a better chance at cross-examining the witnesses that the prosecution brought forth, but also most of the original indictment from the grand jury that they received was full of lies from the prosecution team, all the way from Dan Love to Agent Wooten, who we've heard a lot of controversy about lately.
So what happened with the trial and everything in Oregon went you guys' way. So do you think today is a good sign for...
Oh, I do. God is on these guys' side. Truth is on their side, and truth is being told. It's just being told very slowly when you're up against a powerful government like ours, the federal government. They don't release things quickly, and they definitely don't want us to have victories. So every step of the way, we've literally had to fight tooth and nail for every victory that's come. I believe that this will be... I believe a mistrial with prejudice is coming. I think the judge knows it's coming, but at this point she was only willing to give us a mistrial because of all of the Brady violations and the evidence that's been withheld. She said there's no way the jury could continue to sit on this and not be very confused by new information coming and with old witnesses coming back to be questioned again, and that the mistrial is all she could really move for now. But I do believe that in the next 2 weeks we will hear it is with prejudice and that this case will be finished.
So one thing that I was a little bit hoping to hear is that Cliven was going to be released. So correct me if I'm wrong, but the last time I heard that he didn't want to get out until everybody was out. Well, or can you kind of explain?
What's difficult, it's much like when Ammon and Ryan weren't coming to court because of the strip searches. It gets told they wouldn't come, but that's actually not true. Cliven wants out desperately. He wants out of jail. He just won't come out if he's presumed innocent unless proven guilty. He won't come out with an ankle monitor on. He won't give up his Fourth Amendment right against unreasonable searches and seizures of his home. So he's actually doing what an innocent man would do, which is say, I want out, but if you're going to let me out, let me out. Don't let me out and follow me home. So Cliven Bundy wants out of jail. He's not refusing to come out of jail.
Okay, so because I think that's what had originally been said. So
well, what's being said is he won't sign to agree to their conditions, and that's very different from not wanting to leave jail or refusing to leave jail. He's standing at the door saying, let me out, and they're saying, sign here, and he's saying, absolutely not, I will not do that, but please let me out of jail. And they are saying, no, we will not let you out of jail.
And then let's say this trial ends up going the way that you guys want. What do you think that says to the government? What do you think that says to everyday citizens?
Well, most people are not willing to fight this out in court. The federal government wins 97% of the time because of plea deals. They trump up charges and they intimidate people with 106 years, and then they end up taking plea deals like most of the defendants in this case did. So what it should tell the people is that it's worth it to fight, it's worth it to stand and to be truthful and not sign a plea agreement if that means you're lying. As difficult as it is to stand, these individuals have shown us what it looks like, and I hope it shows the American people kind of the heart of our founding fathers, what it looks like to say there's some things more important than life, and freedom is one of them. And so they're going to fight for their freedom. They're not going to hand that over and say, yes, I'm guilty, I'll give up all my rights willingly and be a convicted felon,
Right.
If they are truly innocent.
That was the soundbite right there. Stand up and fight. Kelli, is there anything else that you want to add before anything else that you want to say?
Let's see. I would want to say that there's still the Hammond family that this family is continuously talking about that needs to be set free. All of the BLM misconduct we've seen in this case also was present down in Oregon, and what Hammond went to the refuge to do was to expose the Bureau of Land Management and the corruption that they were actually helping fires be set. They were taking people's lands, and I just learned this week that there is proof from the refuge that the mineral rights were actually being sold right out from under the people of Harney County, of landowners in Harney County. And this is exactly what they were trying to expose down in Oregon, but through the ambush and everything, that was all completely stopped. So we need the Hammonds to be set free. They're wrongfully incarcerated. They shouldn't have been put back in jail, and there's a lot of people that need to stand trial, and it's not the American people, it's the federal government and these unconstitutional agencies.
Okay, that was perfect. Let me grab the mic real quick.
God, Kelli, that she's beautiful.
Oh, I was, yes.
Looks like a lot of people up here. Let's see if there's any interviews happening. Let's see who's up here. Sometimes the attorneys come out and do interviews with the press up here. Here's Bryan Hyde and Jeanette Finicum. Congratulations on your new fence. It's good to see Mark out there. The Center for Self-Governance was out volunteering to help put up some fence at the Finicum Ranch. And this looks like just press up here, so. So we need to continue to lift up Jeanette Finicum and her wrongful death lawsuit or whatever it's called. Get a little justice for get a little justice for them. I'm sure it's got to be a hard time of the year. And if you haven't seen all of Lavoie's videos on YouTube, I encourage you to watch them because you'll learn a lot. Such an amazing, incredible man. And it looks like Bryan Hyde is about to do an interview here, so maybe we'll listen in. Listen into that. Is that Fox 5?
Yes.
Yeah, she just interviewed Kelli. Little behind the scenes here. What will be on the news hopefully this evening? Do we know when the ABC 7 story or report is supposed to come out? Has it come out yet? Okay. I'm sure I forget your name.
Oh, it's Joe.
Joe, you have a radio show, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw someone was on there recently, right? On with you. Yeah, because I'd seen you in court and didn't know who you were, and then when I saw that, I was like, oh, I recognize that guy. And how often is your radio program?
Monday through Friday.
Monday through Friday?
Yeah.
1 hour show or
2
hours?
Yeah.
Okay. What kind of stuff do you typically?
Current events.
Yeah. Let me get a little closer, try to hear.
This will be super easy. You are going to be looking at me.
Okay.
Okay, so the first things first, will you say and spell your first and last name for
Sure.
Bryan?
My name is Bryan Hyde, Bryan Hyde, and I'm a commentator for Who's Next.
Okay, so yeah, because I've been seeing you do all like the Facebook lives and whatnot. So would family spokesperson also be kind of an accurate title? No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Just because I mean, because I don't know if people are gonna know exactly who's next is.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Bryan, can you tell me what happened today?
Well, today we finally learned what was going to happen after a long 2-week continuance, and the judge declared a mistrial, which I think was expected. I didn't hear any gasps of surprise in the courtroom. I think most people expected that something was afoot based on the allegations of Brady violations that had been brought up by the defense earlier.
And then, so for someone that hasn't been following this case, can you kind of talk about the Brady violations and what exactly? Because I know they were talking about misconduct on the prosecution side. So can you kind of touch on that?
Yeah, the judge actually started out this morning, and she defined the criteria for what constitutes a Brady violation. And it just refers to a due process violation in which evidence which could have been either favorable or exculpatory for the defense was withheld, either inadvertently or deliberately. Do you want me to wait for the siren here?
I like how you know to do that. That's very helpful. So what were some of do we even know what was sealed or what we were kind of looking for?
If you don't mind me referring to my notes.
Oh, please,
I was taking notes in the courtroom today. There were 7 Brady violations that were alleged by the defense. 5 of them, the judge agreed that they met the criteria, which was it had to be evidence that was favorable to the defense, willfully failed to produce or willfully suppressed. She said it could be inadvertently or willfully, but in each of the 5 that she said this meets the criteria, she said I believe that was willfully withheld.
Wow.
And
Okay.
she wanted to make sure that the courtroom knew that. And the third criteria was it had to be something that would prejudice the outcome of the trial. And then she went through some specific examples of that. In the indictment that was issued against the Bundys and the other defendants, there was a lot of accusations that, well, they lied. They misrepresented what was going on. They essentially rang the dinner bell and said that the government is setting up surveillance and snipers, and they have us surrounded, and we're in fear for our safety. And the prosecution had maintained that was just a lie or a misrepresentation. And what it turns out is, no, there was truth to every one of those allegations, specifically the surveillance cameras. She said the information relating to that constituted a Brady violation. The BLM snipers or marksmen, the prosecution swore up and down, there are no marksmen or snipers.
As far as the cameras, where were they placed around the Bunkerville Ranch, or were we talking about up in Oregon?
They were aimed at the Bundy's home in Bunkerville.
Great. So today with the mistrial, do you think that this is a good thing? Does it mean that this is just being dragged on longer? How's everyone feeling about it?
It does give the appearance that it's being drawn out longer, and the judge has set January 8th of next year as the time for when she will make the decision whether this mistrial was either with or without prejudice. So it sounds very much like within 70 days there will be another jury seated and another trial beginning. Essentially, it's resetting the clock. I think a lot of us were hoping to see some kind of finality and resolution to this. But something the judge said as she was finishing her remarks was she felt that clearly there had been some misconduct on the part of the prosecution, and she said there needs to be a remedy for that. But she also said this is something that in her mind the weight of the evidence hadn't really changed. She felt that the jury would be the best ones to make that decision. So we will find out next month whether or not another jury is going to be seated, and she will, again, let them make that decision.
Right. Okay. Sorry. Give me 1 second. I'm just going to change up your shot a little bit. You're very good at this. Have you covered trials and stuff before?
No, but I was in radio for like 30 years.
So because it's not like pulling teeth interviewing you. Best case scenario, when do we think this will all be over?
That's a good question. Maybe January 8th. The judge comes and says, in light of the motions that haven't been considered or that are under consideration right now, or in light of the decision to either to mistrial with or without prejudice. You know, maybe we could see some resolution there. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's a lot of power that's at stake here, and even what seems like maybe a bit of hubris at stake here. It's not often that government will ever say, "I'm so sorry, we were wrong. How can we make this right?" You know, when you're government, that's a luxury. You don't ever seem to have to say that.
And then let's say, okay, so the Oregon one, it went in their favor. If this one also goes in the Bundy's favor, do you think that's going to set a precedent for Americans to think that they can challenge the government? Do you think this is a good thing? What are your personal opinions on that?
I hope that it sets a precedent that Americans can and should question whether authority is being used legitimately, because really that's what's at the base here. You know, a lot of people tend to see this in terms of this is a case of Cliven versus the BLM, this is about cows on public land, but that's a symptom of a larger problem, which is the government acting within its legitimate and proper limits.
And then you know the family. I've spent some time with the family. For people that haven't had the chance to meet them, I think that they think that they're one way. But they're very down to earth. I mean, how would you describe? You said you know Ryan, right? So how would you describe the Bundys as people?
They are not the one-dimensional caricature that unfortunately the media narrative has portrayed them as right from the beginning. And it's not so much that people have lied as much as the narrative has been incomplete.
Because the narrative that comes out, even, I mean, if CNN, not even just CNN, it's like almost like right-wing, you know what I mean? But for somebody that knows them, you know, like, yeah.
They're very down-to-earth people. I wish more people understood the deep faith that informs their lives. I mean, these are not lawless, you know, outlaws. These are people who are producers, and they're good people. If you were broken down alongside the road, they're the kind of people who would stop and not just say, "Well, we wish you well," as they drove off, but would do whatever it took to help you with your predicament until the problem was solved.
I love that. That was perfect. Okay. Thank you. Is there anything else you want me to? Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. That went a little bit longer.
Oh my gosh, I don't know this. Yeah.
All right, so that was Bryan Hyde, and he does updates for the family on Who's Next on Facebook. Still large crowd here. People aren't leaving yet. I think we're hoping to see the defendants and their attorneys come out. We have Brad Green here from Free Capitalist.
Long goodbye for the jury, almost so having the jury there to keep it going, but she couldn't. And so instead of a dismissal, instead of a mistrial with prejudice, it's just a mistrial, and prejudice will be determined. And she thanked the jury and sent them home. Ryan Bundy jumped in semi-awkwardly in beautiful Ryan Bundy fashion and thanked the jury too, and they were all pretty pleased.
So they got to do some keep the jury in there for questions from the defense.
I don't know that. The judge did instruct the jury that they can answer questions if asked, but they don't have to. I know it is commonplace for both prosecutors and defenders to question the jury, ask them what worked, what didn't work, what were they interested in and not.
Exit poll, do they call it? Or?
I don't know what they call it. I think they call it jury interviews.
Okay.
It is commonplace. Although it seemed that the jury was dismissed, I see attorneys from the defense team in the lobby now, maybe not all of them, but a few of them, which leads me to believe that they're not questioning the jury now.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember the last case that I saw jury interviews that happened the following day or days. And I don't know how you get in touch with a jury after they're dismissed.
Right.
Did the attorneys have any comments for you inside?
Not officially, no.
Okay.
They're hopeful for a prejudice ruling.
If there's a retrial, do you think that would be a reward for the prosecution?
You know, it could be. Here's the thing: when a judge rules, even when she rules a mistrial, it becomes a matter of law. I mean, you hear people talk about case law. Well, that's what we're witnessing here. When the judge says there was clear prosecutorial misconduct, it is law. It is a matter of law. It's a matter of fact, and it can be used in the future, not only by these guys, but by anybody. It is a matter of court ruling. It is case law now that there was prosecutorial misconduct. The government broke the law in trying these guys. And that is a fact as decided by this court. And it works to their advantage. If the government does retry, they will have that burden to overcome. It puts them at an extreme disadvantage.
Thank you, Brad. So yes, it does declare a mistrial. We do not know yet. We'll find out January 8th, I believe, if it's going to be a retrial. But we're hoping that if she rules that there was prosecutorial misconduct, then double jeopardy is attached, and they will not be able to retry them. And so that's the ruling we're hoping for. The defense has 9 days to put their motion in to argue that point, and we're confident. We've got a great legal team, and hopeful that the judge will agree with their arguments. Yeah, at least 80 violations. Well, the judge agreed with five of the Brady violations today, but I believe I've heard the defendants talk about as many as 20 violations, but officially the judge has said that yes, there were 5, and that's why the mistrial was declared today. So we're also hoping on January 8th that all of these sealed documents will be unsealed, and the public will get to know about, we'll be able to see the evidence, see some of the government misconduct, and they'll stop hiding all of this stuff from us. And no more secret hearings. We have a right to a public trial, and that's just one more thing that has been denied these defendants. So many secret hearings. So I think that's all for now. If you missed any of the interviews, we have the Fox 5 was interviewing Kelli, Stewart, and Bryan, Hyde, and then we got a little bit with Brad Green there. So if you missed any of that, after I post this, you'll be able to go back and check it out at the beginning. So appreciate everyone watching and sharing. I know there's lots of updates coming at you today, so hopefully you enjoy live streams from everybody. Appreciate all the cameras down here. We can never have too many, and I know when the Malheur Refuge was taking place, that there was a call out for more independent media, and that inspired me to come out and help report the truth, especially when you turn on your evening news and see fake news being reported. We need people out here that are giving you the whole story, even though sometimes it takes a long time, but we're not giving you little bits taken out of context. We're showing you exactly what's happening here. So anyway, see, someone had asked about Cliven being released. Yeah, unfortunately he was not released today. That's because the decision has not yet been made on the retrial, and he wants to be released as a free man. He does not want a conditional release. So thank you, everyone. And if there's any more news, if we see the defendants or their attorneys come out, we'll come back. All right.